Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Special Health Report podcast. We have a unique audience here today and a very special one and a Christian one to boot, which is always a bonus. We have the owners of this new company that I am very seriously vetting to join and add to the stable of our alliances. We have Kurt and Kristen Ludlow of Pets 24/7, and we have Chris, also known as Baby Trump, who I am mutual friends with Denise Boland. You all know Denise and love her well. And so Denise was the impetus for a lot of this. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us today, but she's with us in spirit, and she'll certainly be with us in the near future. And so we're going to be talking about the extolling the virtues of God's natural elements on earth, particularly in the realm of mushrooms and all the varieties thereof. So if you're new to the podcast, please do like, subscribe, and share, as it helps the channel grow and gain in the knowledge you are afforded. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. How are you all doing today?
Great.
Less than deserved.
Well, we appreciate it. So for the audience who obviously is not familiar necessarily with the product, let's start from, as you would imagine, the bare bones basics. I'll start with you, Kurt and Kristen. How old is the company? How did it get started? I understand it has Christian roots. And what was the impetus for it, and where do you see it going in the future?
That sounds good. Yeah, I'll give you some quick background on how it got to this point. Thank you for that question, by the way, is one of the partners here with the company, Simon Liu.
Folks, for over a year now, we've been extolling the virtues of buying precious metals. As you can see, Fort Knox is about to be audited, and that's imminent, and you're going to see that gold reserves are little to none. What do you think that'll do to the price of gold? And with silver being ransacked with COMEX on the markets, that's sure to follow as well. The only question is, are you going to take action or not? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? And if you have, please take a moment to visit one of our great sponsors here below, the link in the description, and call for the information. It's free. The consultation is free. The cost of not taking advantage of this has lasting consequences, folks. Please tell them John and Chris sent you. You'll be more than happy that you did.
Mother experiencing a very severe issue that affected her lung, and she was attending Sloan Kettering. They did everything medically they could for her. Nothing seemed to work out. Through all that, they gave her just a couple of months. And so Simon did as any son would do and was reaching to friends and family members to, let them know her circumstances. His cousin out in Japan reached out, said, look, who happens to be in the medical field, said, look, we've got something. I want to send it out to you. Just give this to her. It happens to just be a mushroom in a capsule. We have a proprietary way we extract it for greater efficacy, and it's considered the most potent strain. And so he sends it to her. She starts taking it, and she notices after about 30 days quite a considerable difference in the way she's feeling. Month 2, even more improvement. Month 3, she felt as if the issue was no longer there. She reaches back to Sloan Kettering, sets up an appointment. So 4.5 months after they sent her home, they run all the labs, and they find that issue to no longer be there. Now, as you can imagine, Sloan Kettering was flabbergasted over it. They wanted to know what she'd been doing. She explained, and they asked for all the information they could get regarding this. And of course, they were able to supply it to them. And that's where the first clinical study started on this in the United States. Now, from there, it's expanded to MD Anderson, Harvard, Loma Linda, published in the Library of Medicine many times. The American Cancer Society studied it as well. And what they had found out or concluded was this didn't cure, it didn't mitigate, it didn't prevent anything, but specifically, it modulates the immune system. It gets the immune system running optimally again. And as that occurs, that's what God gave to us. It's God-given. That's what protects us. That's what keeps us healthy. And from there, it's capable of resolving any type of situation, from small concerns to most catastrophic. Now, it isn't just for somebody that's ill or sick. It's to be preventative, to be proactive versus reactive. And because of that, for years, they would, you experience something like that with a family member, you're going to tell everyone that'll listen to you. And of course, that's what Simon did. And people were, coming back to him with the most incredible situations that they would see that was being resolved by taking this mushroom. And at that point, he was like, look, how do we bring this into the U.S.? It takes up to 3 weeks to get it out of Japan. And of course, that's when he was able to get it over here. They started getting it out to humans. And for many years, they did that. And just amazing stories, testimonials, people just seeing some great results because of getting the immune system working right again. And then 8 years ago, they experienced loss in their animals to cancer. Well, two of our partners lost a dog within cancer within just 2 months of one another, and two of their children. Now, these dogs were all range from 4 to 8 years old. And here they had this great product doing amazing things for people. And they started researching and finding there was studies out there that were showing that dogs that were dealing with cancer that were on this mushroom are living 3 times as long as the dogs that were not. And that's when they knew that they had to get this out. They felt a calling to make sure they put it out in the pet industry, and they did. And from there, it's been amazing. Yeah, the company was pet-centric for the first couple of years, but so many people were calling in and saying, "This is amazing. You know what we're experiencing. We're feeding our dogs just treats, just a gravy, things that we put this mushroom into, and we're noticing the most amazing things." We know our dogs don't know a placebo effect, and is this available for humans? And that's when the company was going to be again completely pet-centric. That's when they said, "Look, let's add the human component to this as well." And that's where we sit today. And there has been amazing things happen. One of them being Mr. Chris Eric's there. Now, the company's vision and goal is to be a voice for our pets that don't have one. Get the information out aggressively to help people. We have a movement going on called the Maha movement, but we also have that movement here. We call it Make Animals Healthy Again, our own Maha movement, and it's been really, really incredible just what's been going on.
That's great. Thank you, Kurt, for the very detailed and yet succinct explanation. I appreciate that. Taking it a step further, this is what, first of all, it's a product that works. And I've been taking it now for about 2 weeks with the samples that Chris and your team has generously offered me, which I typically need to do in vet. And I've noticed even in the first couple of weeks, I do my walks in the field with the Lord early in the morning before I tend to do the podcast, just to try to give them the first fruits, satisfy that jealousy. So a comment and then a question to you both, if you don't mind, which is, I noticed, and I told this to Chris, kind of funny enough, I know it was working because I was sort of getting these little micro burps. And I was saying, "Chris, is that normal?" He said, "Yeah, that's kind of your body flushing out the toxins." Is that an accurate depiction to you both?
Oh yeah, the immune system, God, it's so intelligently designed.
Mm,
Repairs, rebuilds, rebalances, renews, everything happening inside of the body. So if there are some types of imbalances or any areas that need to be cleaned out, the immune system, that'll go right into action and start cleaning out those spaces.
nice, nice. Thank you for that. And then the next follow-up, obviously, before we go to Chris and kind of kitty corner between you both, is the other thing that has intrigued me about the product. It is a Christian company, about 8 years old, I think. Can you talk a little bit about its faith roots and how it got started?
Oh yes, from the very beginning, the construction of this entire company, which we don't even think of it as a company, we think of it as a ministry because of what it's doing to restore creation, to help serve so many people and so many animals. We feel like we're just trying to be good stewards with what God has given us and share it as much as possible. So from the very beginning, even just the name of it, Pet Club 24/7, is we wanted to people to know that this is a community. This is a kingdom-minded community of people that want to take care of things well, not necessarily just a company, just another company that's just trying to sell products or whatever it may be. That there is a power behind us, that God has really not only convicted us of what has been happening in the world and making us aware to what's been happening in the world, but then also called us to be a solution to that problem and to be a voice for those that don't have one. So we're all kingdom investors. We're all very kingdom minded. At the end of the day, really, that's what this whole thing is about, is just sharing God's love, sharing Jesus' love with people by being a part of helping them and their families and their four-legged family, experience the type of life, the quality of life that God has planned for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Well said, Kristen. Thank you also for that articulation. One of the things when Chris invited me on a Zoom to kind of scope you guys out a little bit, and vice versa, a few weeks back, is I thought it was intriguing that you guys are family business, but you've also talked about and you sort of touched on a minute ago, the interconnectivity between humans and pets, and that this food, both in what Chris is going to show us in a moment, both in capsule but also physical form, is actually digestible not only for pets but for humans, which I've never heard of before. So can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Yeah, it's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad. These mushrooms are absolutely incredible. They're not only safe for animals and people, but incredibly beneficial. There have been hundreds of published studies that have been done by the most reputable institutions in the world, many of them published in the National Library of Medicine, that are all finding the same thing, that this food, this Coriolis versicolor mushroom, when it gets into the body, it feeds the immune system. And then the immune system is what then goes in and does all the work and handles, everything that we can think of, from the most smallest of concerns all the way to the most serious concerns that you or your pet might be dealing with. So it's food for the whole family. And we actually have a saying: every pet, every person, every day should be taking the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, especially after you're going to hear Chris's story, and especially after you've seen what we've seen over these last 8 years. You really get a good understanding of what God is doing through this company, and it truly is a movement to restore creation.
Sounds great. Now, before we turn over to Chris, to your right segue there, one last question for you folks for now. Um, I had talked to Denise. I spoke to her about this a few weeks ago when this opportunity was broached. And I have a big brother whose wife is from Osaka. So as much as we could talk to her, because she speaks kind of, her English is evolving, which is good. But we have to have the go-between. But apparently she tells me that the mushrooms are the purest on earth over there, and they've had so much success. They have the lowest form of, if I'm getting this correctly, they have the lowest form of cancer and other recidivism rates of health issues. So just wondered if you could kind of talk about that. What makes these mushrooms so unique specifically?
So, yes, in Japan, if you go through cancer or chemotherapy, you're given a strain of this mushroom. We just happen to have a strain that we have a proprietary way that it's extracted. No one's been able to synthesize it, duplicate it. It's also considered, of the 200 plus strains that are on the planet, where some of those strains have no efficacy at all, but this happens to be the most potent of those strains as well. So, we're very blessed that these two dynamics came together at the same time. And what we see is, we'll run into mycologists, we'll run into people that really understand mushrooms, have been taking mushrooms for years, and get on this mushroom and notice changes,
And
notice things.
if I could add to that as well, not only the
Please.
potency of this particular strain, and we have perfected the extraction process to the glory of God. Thank you, Lord, for that. But on top of that, it's very, very pure. And I know a lot of what we find in the big box stores or online, when people just see, little ads pop up and stuff, a lot of that biomass is not being tested for purity. And that's something that we're very diligent about. We are constantly testing it for purity. Every single batch is tested for purity and signed off before it even goes out for animals or for people. And I think that there's something very powerful when we do something so simply, right? We didn't formulate some magic special, patented this or that was man's idea. Sometimes man's creations, however great they may be, sometimes they might have adverse effects. We're just taking what God has already created and just giving it in its purest form, in its truest form, to animals and to people. And there's power behind the simplicity of that. And I think that's why it's been working so well. And people have been seeing such positive results in their pets and themselves relatively quickly.
Great. Thank you for that as well. Chris, before we turn over to you, just another little micro testimonial. In my walks, I've noticed we get bombarded a lot here, and I'm sure not unlike the rest of the country, with chemtrails. And so that can be problematic from a breathing and clarity issue. I've noticed, since I've been taking the mushrooms the last couple of weeks, I've noticed an improvement in the breathing and clarity too, which I would have to attribute to these said mushrooms, because Chris was very specific about not taking anything else in conjunction with them, to isolate, to see the efficacy of the product. And I have noticed that. So folks, I'm telling you, there's something going on here that's at least noteworthy of paying attention. So thank you folks for that. As I turn over to Chris, talk a little bit about, if you would, kind of your role with the company and any testimonials and whatever you want to share.
Sure. So I just want to give it back to Kurt and Kristen, my brother and sister, and my extended family, who changed my life forever. Without them, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. And they went through the whole journey with me. from day one. There's not too many people that went through that journey with me. Before I get started on my testimonial, what I want to say about the company is, as Kristen was talking, I was like, you know what? Just to put it bluntly, the reason why our product is so superior to every other is because they care about people before profits. And every other company out there is profits over people. And they really don't care truly about the people. They just want to get it out, mass quantities, right? Oh, look, we have the mushrooms, blah, blah, blah. And they tend to go on our testimonials, on our stories. But then when people start taking their product, they're like, wait a second, I'm not getting the same result. Now, how do I know that? Because now for almost 2 years, I've been not only doing this, but being the face and voice of the company, out there, where I had cancer, stage 3 head and neck cancer. And, being an influencer, having the nickname Baby Trump, people love you. And I'm best friends with Mikovits and Tenpenny and Sherwood and artists. And, nobody told me in the Truly community, hey, mushrooms. And, lo and behold, Kurt and Kristen, through somebody we knew, said, hey, look, we want to talk to Chris. We think we can help him with these mushrooms. And I was like, all right. And so I went down to Vegas because I had to drive to Arizona for my second diagnosis, my second opinion, through a homeopathic doctor. So I said, all right, I'll meet them. They live in Vegas. I'll meet them. Figure out to have lunch with them, 30 minutes. 4 hours later, I'm given these. And 5 bottles, and I'm told take 5. Here they are right here. 5 capsules in the morning and 5 at night. And I was like, guys, I have stage 3 head and neck cancer. My tongue is paralyzed. My jugular is collapsed. Like, this is not, hunky-dory. Like, this is serious. And so for some reason, my discernment, I believed them. I had faith in them. And I didn't even know them. So I started taking, and well, let me back up. Before I took them, because I'm a researcher, and that's what I do with my podcast, I started looking. And when I saw it was the #1 cancer cure in Japan for over 30 years, and I said that to Kurt and Chris, I'm like, oh my gosh, what? I never heard of this. And like Kurt said, when they're done with chemo radiation, they give them this. And the reason is because they know it is going to destroy their immune system. So when I was given the option to do chemo or radiation, I told them absolutely not. Thanks for the diagnosis. I'm going to find the cure naturally. And when I do, I'll shout it out to the rooftop. I really didn't know what I was going to do. But my spirit inside must have knew something was going to happen. And I remember hitting that elevator button and hearing in my body, don't you ever come back here ever again. And so I started taking 5 in the morning, 5 at night, religiously, habitually. Here's where it gets crazy and off the rails. And now I have people that like LT and Alpha and now you, they're doing it. They're going to the gym and they're experiencing what I'm experiencing. But guys, I had cancer and I was training an hour and a half, 5 to 6 days a week in the gym. I called Kurt up, Hunker. I was like, what is in these? I was mad because I couldn't believe I felt the way that I felt superhuman. And I should have never felt like that. I should have been tired, hurt, inflammation, in bed, under the covers, right? Like every other person that has cancer. And that wasn't me. And I said to Kurt, what did you put in these mushrooms? And it's like, oh, natural mushroom. Because I took growth hormone when I was 40. And that, I can equal growth hormone, that feeling, to taking the mushrooms. And what do I mean by that? My energy was through the roof, but my recovery was instant. It was like, it was happening right there. And so I was like, I lost over 50 pounds, I think 53 pounds. I used to be 235. I weigh 188 soaking wet now. That was the cancer. Took that all away. But being 188, training as strong as if I was 235, you know, when a bodybuilder loses 10 pounds, that's catastrophic. 50 pounds, I mean, my whole world was turned upside down. So what I did is what I told you, John. I didn't do any other supplements because I wanted to see if they worked. And then 3 weeks in, I go get tested by my homeopathic doctor. My tumor shrunk 30%. I had a little bit of a hernia, gone. I had what's called peripheral arterial disease in the back of my right knee, gone in 3 weeks. So what was it? My doctor was shaken because she couldn't believe it was gone. She goes, I have to have those mushrooms. I have to have those mushrooms. Because she never saw anything like it in her life. So I continue on doing the mushrooms. And then I talked to Kurt and Kristen. And I was like, you know what? I'm going back in 57 days. I'm going to bring Kurt and Kristen with me. It's a 2.5-hour drive, one way. And I was pretty cocky that I knew I beat it to bring them. And I took them with me, and we got the diagnosis that, no bad cells. And when we heard that, we jumped up and shouted out and with tears and everything. But wow, something as simple and natural as a mushroom. By the way, it's one of the top 50 superfoods is a mushroom. And it actually has life. It has energy, mushrooms. And I had people say, oh, the mushrooms chose you. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. No, they really did. Because when I'm looking at people now that are taking the mushrooms, I watched people that saw a podcast 6 months ago, but they took my number down or my email address down, and now they have cancer or they have something else, and now they get on it. So even if people aren't taking it now, they keep it just in case. It's like insurance, just in case. But to what Kurt and Kristen said, it wasn't the mushrooms that healed it. No. Number one, all my praise and glory goes to God. He's the one that did it. All I did was I did the natural. Let him do the supernatural. And the other thing that I told you, John, why you getting those burps and everything, you were out with the old and with the new. It was like changing your oil and filter in your car, right? For so many years, you will have all that sludge and that buildup. Now, and your immune system was probably going the wrong way. Now it's starting to slowly go the right way. And what's happening, you're sleeping better. You're getting more energy. You're focused. Like there's so many things because that immune system is attached to every organ in your body from head to toe.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Chris, for sharing all that. I noticed you have a bevy of products on your desk, so if you don't mind just kind of talking about those and differentiating how the products work together.
So this is Coriellus versicolor. This is the one that I took. These are the capsules. So the nice thing with the capsules is you can open them up and you can actually put it in the dog food, the super sauce for the dogs, the actual capsule. You open up the capsule, put it right in the super sauce with their food. The other thing is if somebody has a hard time swallowing it, open it up, put it in a liquid, put it in ice cream, put it in peanut butter, right? Put it in yogurt. This is for anybody that wants to be proactive, right? Before something hits you. If you just want to protect yourself. Or this is for people that I tell them if they're taking any blood thinners, but they have cancer, you want to take this, right? Anything, and like Kurt said, it's the modulator. This is the modulator. This one right here, the plus Rishi, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anything to do with the heart, you want to take the Rishi, right? Clarity. We talked about focus, right? Anything to do with neurological, the head, Alzheimer's, dementia, ADHD, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, and your digestive system. Kurt and Kristen have a gentleman that was taking this and unbeknownst to him, just started dropping weight and wasn't trying to. My ex-girlfriend was dropping weight because she stopped drinking coffee because she had so much sugar she would put in it. So she doesn't have that sugar craving anymore. And then obviously, these are the mush puppies for the dogs, the treats. And Kristen can talk to you about what's in them. But these are phenomenal because, dogs matter too. Dogs' lives matter, right? So when you give them treats, you don't realize what's in that treat, right? And I talked to you about the coffee. You have coffee coming on your way. Our coffee doesn't have pesticides in it. It doesn't have that mildew taste or insects grinded up. It's not sitting in a big box store on the shelves for months, right? Maybe a year or two. You don't know how long it's been there. Ours is organic, it's not organic, but it's the closest thing. Goes from the roaster to the shelves, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And that's why we have the freshness. When you open it up, you can smell it. Our decaf that you got, I told you,
Yep.
that's cold filter. Usually people don't know this, but when you have decaffeinated coffee, they have to use chemicals, guys, to take that out. Right, Kristen? Is that true? Yeah. Could you add to that the mush puppies, the coffee, Kristen?
And the coffee it is organic. It's also, like you said, mycotoxin free, mold free. And so in the United States, coffee is one of the most unregulated drinks that we have. People don't know that many times manufacturers will send batches to other countries for sale. They'll find mold in it. They'll send it back to the manufacturer and they'll sell it to US providers. It's really bad. So any coffee that you're drinking, please make sure there's no mold or mycotoxins in it. But like Chris said, we add the Coriolis versicolor mushroom to it, which it's so amazing because it itself, it's not a medication. It's not a cure for anything. It's not a treatment for anything. It's just a food. It's no different from eating a salad on a mushroom. There are no side effects. You can't get addicted. You can't overdose. It doesn't interact with any medications or treatments. But when you get it into the body, especially like with the coffee, when you have it with the coffee, you'll notice that your body processes the coffee differently. It metabolizes it differently. You don't get all those crazy jitters, like you're going to jump out of your skin. You don't get that acidic feeling inside of your stomach. In all of our treats that are baked for dogs and cats and horses, which we have a variety of ways that you can get it into their systems, because it's much more fun for you and for your pet to give them a treat than to try to give them like a capsule or a supplement or anything. But, we use naturally sourced glucosamine and carotene and chondroitin and additional vitamins and minerals and antioxidants in it. So you're going to notice a huge change in your pet really quickly once they start getting it into their system. Even on the human line with the Enforce products that Chris just shared with you. I mean, those are 100% natural, all the way down to the minerals and the simple salts that we use in manufacturing. To guarantee the consistency of it, it's all naturally sourced. We use minerals and simple salts that are found in foods that we eat every single day. So it's something that's so important to us is Chris?
No, my camera.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was rigging us in
I
class.
thought you were like, pick me. But that's so important because God created everything so perfectly. It was all meant to work together from the very beginning, just like Jon so eloquently stated. From the very beginning, it was designed that way. Fungi, they're neither plants nor animals, right? So they're in their own kingdom, but they share nearly 50% of the DNA of humans. DNA wise, they're closest to human DNA. That is not an accident. That's not a mistake. It's not a mistake that animals and people, once they get this Coriolis versicolor mushroom into their systems, our bodies know exactly what to do with it. And it immediately starts responding to it, and it fuels all of the right things inside of our body. So regardless of what you or your pet might be experiencing, we're really, really confident that the Coriolis versicolor mushroom can be incredibly helpful for you. There's no risk. And on top of that, if you are trying to be proactive and not wait till you have to make those tough decisions and kind of control what you can control now, there's a recommended amount that's on each of the bottles and all of the bags for the treats for our pets. If you're dealing with some concerns that aren't necessarily very serious, but they are concerns, we usually recommend doubling that amount at first if you can, just so you can get more of that mushroom into your system to really start impacting the immune system. Now, if you're dealing with something that's more serious, like what Chris was dealing with your pets or with yourself, we recommend 3 to 4 times that amount just to get started so that you can really get your body going in the right direction. And then as things start changing, you can always just go back down to the recommended amount. But like I said, we're really, really confident that it can be helpful for you because we've just seen what God is doing over and over and over again, countless times for dogs, cats, horses, and people. Has been the biggest blessing. And I just want to thank you, Jon, for opening up your platform to us and allowing us to share what God's doing, allowing Chris to share his story. I'm sure you're such an incredible man. We're so grateful to be connected with you. And we know that anybody that follows you, this community, has to be a really good community of contribution focused people that really want to make a difference, not just sit around waiting for things to change, but actually get in there and be a part of the change that they want to see in the world. So thank you for just letting us share all that's been happening. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. It's very kind of you to say. I received that. And yeah, my audience is very much of a proactive audience. They know that we as a team preach about, there's 3 keys to success in general in life. And the first is changing the mindset and then taking action and then sowing where you prosper, wherever that is. That's not necessarily confined to 4 walls in a church, although that's fine, but it extenuates much further than that. So thank you for saying that. Before we kind of close up today, just to mop it up a little bit, a couple of questions. It's up for grabs for either one of you, all 3 of you to answer, and in whatever particular order you feel led to do so. But you would think the coffee and the treats would be sufficient. But as it turns out, what I also found very important for myself and for others, I think that would be beneficial is you have chocolate chip cookies, but these are not the unhealthy kind. They're quite, natural. You get a little bit of the offshoot of the mushroom, but it doesn't overpower or offend the natural Belgian chocolate. And then also, I guess, some nutritional bars. I tend to get a lot of nutritional bars just because I'm on the go and I work out and don't always have time to meal prep for lunch, depending on podcasts, frequency of the schedule during the day and the week. So this becomes, for me and for others, I think, a valuable asset. So I just open it up to the floor. Can you talk about those products, please?
So I'll let you guys talk about the cookies. I'll talk about the bar.
Sure. Whoever wants to go first, it's fine.
Go ahead. Talk about the cookies. Cookies.
Oh,
Hello?
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, our internet froze a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do have chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. We have chocolate chip cookies, gummies that have smaller amounts of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom in it. It really started for kids, right? We were like, what are some fun ways for kids to be able to get the Coriolis versicolor mushroom where they don't have to swallow any pills or capsules or anything? And but what happened was that adults love them just as much. So it is 100% natural. We use absolutely nothing artificial, even in our gummies, which is really important because most of the gummies that you find out there in the market have like high fructose corn syrup and dyes, and like they call them healthy, but it really can be toxic, unfortunately. So ours is 100% natural, and we do add a little bit of sea salt into the chocolate chip cookies, which not only help with the flavor, but really it helps to get more minerals into the body, which is very, very important. So along with the Inforce that you take every day, we take the Inforce every day. There are snacks that you can eat throughout your day that will just increase the impact. You can have a gummy here and there. Maybe if you're craving a candy, just have a gummy instead. Or, you know, if you want a chocolate chip cookie for a dessert, if you're craving a dessert, eat one of those chocolate chip cookies. Or, you know, substitute whatever coffee drink that you're getting that might have tons of the sugars and all of that stuff. Maybe substitute that for something more pure and more natural with the Coriolis Creek coffee. And I promise you, you will feel the difference. You'll feel the difference in your body just by redirecting that spending and substituting those items.
Sounds good. Chris, you want to
All
talk
right, I'll
about,
talk about the bar.
please?
So we're coming out with a nutrition bar. It'll be like a Quest bar, protein and mushroom with it. I have 20 grams of protein, 1 to 2 grams of fat, but it's going to be the first one of its kind to actually mix protein with Coriolis Versicolor. So yeah, we're really, excited about that to happen because, when I was sitting there working out, all I did was take the protein and the mushrooms, right? That's it. And I was like, well, what if we had it together, right? And when you start doing research, you find out there's nothing out there like that. There's literally nothing out there in the world that has that. So why not marry both of them together when it's good for you, right? So not only are you going to get the benefits of supporting your immune system, but now you're going to get that recovery. Now you're going to get, I call it feeding your immune system. You're not just going to be feeding your muscles, you're going to be feeding your immune system as well. And I think people forget that. Again, it's a food. It's not a supplement. Because if you think a supplement in your head, a supplement you could do without, right? But if you think of food, you need food to survive. That's why I tell people do half in the morning, half at night. That way, the food is going through your body all day long, 24 hours a day. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. It's the last thing I do before I go to bed at night. Because I want to get into that habitual style. I don't even think about it. It's on my counter, boom. I pop 5, boom, pop another 5. And actually now I take 8. And the reason I take 8 is because I don't ever want it to come back. Because I know when if that cancer ever came back, it would wreak havoc. So I bumped it up more than when I actually was diagnosed.
And
That's
that's probably really good too with your working out schedule, because a lot of people don't know that mushrooms, especially the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, has a lot of electrolytes in it as well. So even if it's not out of a fear of something coming back, I mean, just a quality of life today and being able to maximize your workout, train harder, perform better, recover faster, the electrolytes that are in the mushroom can help that as well.
Yeah, maybe that's, when you talk about the electrolytes, maybe that's why I'm dehydrated all the time.
Yeah.
And that's important to me too, Kristen, because I play in a basketball league on Sundays or every other Sunday because I balance that between church. I try to alternate them, which has become difficult logistically here in California, but God makes it work. And so recovery becomes an issue with lactic acid, and the buildup in the legs because I'm kind of tall. So that really, what you said, I think is really important. And then the last question for now is, because someone's going to ask us when it comes to protein bars, they tend to have an association with them about the taste or the aftertaste. What kind of flavors or taste can people imagine from that?
That we don't know as of yet. We haven't gotten into the taste trials, but they will be good. I guarantee you they will, because I'm going to be part of the tasting it. So I told them, I don't want, because you're right. There's that chalkiness, right?
Yeah.
Or the dryness, or you can't chew it, or
right.
Absolutely. So when it gets to that point, I'll let you know.
That aftertaste that you just
Oh
can't.
yeah.
No, that's something that's really important. We'll make sure that it's palatable as well as functional.
Or they
Yeah.
tend to be so chewy, you feel like you need to have your dental work re-examined. It's like, oh, there's a left side of my alignment I wasn't planning on this week. So I think that's good that you guys are in the test trials of that, just to get some impetus and feedback. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for the time today. Really appreciate the thoroughness. As we close today, before I give the link in the description where to go, I think, you know, part of what we really key in on, and I know you folks do as well, is integrity and transparency. My audience knows that. And since I'm not an affiliate yet, I'm moving up to that. I wanted to be very thorough in vetting the product before I put my name behind it, and our team for that matter. I think the right thing to do is that Denise kind of brought us into this. So anybody who's looking to try the products out, Chris will give us the links to provide in the video when it's edited, so that Denise gets full credit, because she has really been behind it, and we've worked with her for years. So I just think that's the right thing to do. So for this particular run, we're gonna put it behind Denise. But anything that you folks, Chris, would like to say to our audience before you part today?
I say try it out. Try it out for 30 days. Here's what'll happen. One, you're gonna see an unbelievable change in your body, right? And number two, you're gonna see, oh my gosh, I don't need all that other stuff. Like I told John, 30 days. Try our mushrooms, our products, our coffee for 30 days. Stop taking any other supplement or dairy. This is my challenge. This is a baby Trump challenge, okay? And then see how in 30 days. Now, in 30 days, you don't see anything, send it back. We'll give you your money back. Can't beat that.
And even if for some reason you have to take some types of medications or whatever it may be, again, it doesn't interact with anything. So you could take it alongside the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, alongside whatever you're doing. And what we always pray for is that as you continue to progress, that as you notice the changes in your body, or maybe your pet's body, maybe you can get to the point where you can start making different decisions with what else is going in your body at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's our heart, is to help to free animals and help to free people and live a great quality of life. So either way, you could do your own test run with it, but if you for some reason can't, you know, you can definitely take it along with whatever you're currently doing.
Excellent. So we will leave that link in the description, petclub247.com. We'll put Denise's promo code, so that if you want to try it out, she gets credit for it. And then we can revisit that at a later date. Kurt and Kristen Ludlow, and of course, Chris, Baby Trump, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. Thank you for the most important currency, which is your time and energy. We appreciate that. And we look forward to having you on again in the near future. Thanks so much, and God bless.
God bless. Stay.